Chapter 16, Money Made. Su Ping looked up at him. It was an aged man wearing a tang suit with a bird pet about half as large as a human. This bird was covered with crimson feathers, and it looked like an ostrich with its head dangling down. The bird seemed to be lifeless. Su Ping was surprised the moment he saw this bird. "Sir, do you have some unique bird food? Something tastier?" Fan Shengde looked at the seemingly young Su Ping who was behind the counter and stepped forward to talk to him. Tastier pet food? Su Ping didn't expect this question. But Su Ping understood after he looked at the depressed bird. Its appetite is not good recently, is it? Fan Shengde nodded. He sounded vexed. It began to eat less a few days ago. I don't know why. I took it to the doctors, but none of them found any results. Su Ping said that he understood the problem. He turned around and took out a bottle of scarlet stone fruit. I think it will like this, Su Ping proposed. Oh. Seeing that Su Ping was confident, Fan Shengde picked up the scarlet stone fruit and took a look. What is this pet food? How come I've never heard of it? Fan Shengde asked. Su Ping didn't know how to explain the details. After all, he had no idea whether the cultivation planes the system sent him to were in the past or still in existence. Maybe this food was from ancient times. Either way, he trusted the system's judgment. You can let it try the food, Su Ping added. Fan Shengde had his fair share of bird food studies, and yet, he failed to recognize this type. On second thought, he believed Su Ping would not sell something that could harm a bird given this was an official store. He opened the lid and poured 2 grains out. The moment he opened the lid, the upset firebird suddenly flapped its feathers. Then, the bird looked up. The depressed and lazy looks in its eyes turned into a radiant glow. The bird was staring at the 2 scarlet stone fruits in Fan Shengde's hand. What? The bird's reaction took Fan Shengde off guard. He felt confident about the food. He lowered his hand and fed the fruits to the bird. The firebird pecked on his hand quickly and ate up the 2 fruits. As soon as it finished, the bird began to chirp happily. Its short wings were flapping quickly. Next, the bird turned its sight to the entire bottle of fruits placed on the counter, glaring at it with passionate anticipation. Fan Shengde was stunned. This little guy had been suffering from a loss of appetite for days. It was a surprise that the bird could gobble down the food and it seemed to be wanting more. Since the food was good, Fan Shengde had no more concerns. He asked Su Ping at once, "Sir, what kind of food is this? Give me several bottles, please." Su Ping saw that the firebird was licking its chops as if it was going to pounce on the food because it could no longer wait. Calmly, Su Ping grabbed the bottle and moved it back to his side. This is the scarlet stone fruit, the most favorite for vermilion birds. This is the only bottle available in the store. 1 fruit is 130 coins and we have 34 here. Do you want all of them? Well, 130 coins for 1 bottle. Fan Shengde felt this price was reasonable. He came to his senses in the next second. For 1 fruit. Su Ping nodded. For 1 fruit. Fan Shengde was speechless. He looked into Su Ping's eyes. Since he saw that Su Ping was serious and composed, Fan Shengde was sure that he wasn't hearing things. At the same time, from the corner of his eye, Fan Shengde noticed the other products behind the counter. He was taken aback as he saw the prices. The food he had chosen was not the only pricey one. There were others even more expensive. He then understood that Su Ping was not deliberately ripping him off. Is there anything special about the pet food here? Fan Shengde restored his calmness soon and asked curiously. Su Ping was surprised that this customer could stay this collected. The food available has different effects, but the majority can help pets to improve their abilities. Some of the food varieties can produce extra effects. They are far from being mundane pet food. Your money will be well spent, Su Ping said honestly. They help pets improve their abilities? Fan Shengde was intrigued. Pointing to the colored Buddha leaf with the highest price, he asked, this price is over 20,000 coins. What can it do? This one can enhance a pet's power of understanding, Su Ping answered. Improve the power of understanding? Fan Shengde was dumbstruck. His eyes flickered, but soon, he covered up his interest. This scarlet stone fruit, give me 10. I will come back if my pet likes it, Fan Shengde said. Su Ping didn't see this coming. Was this man placing an order? That was to say, he was making money, right? Su Ping felt a surge of emotions as if he could see the energy points waving at him. On the outside, he remained calm. He did the calculation fast. 10 fruits will be 1,300 and your vermilion bird has eaten 2, so that is 260 coins, which makes for a total of 1,560 coins. Fan Shengde nodded and transferred the money to Fan Shengde. How long can the 10 fruits last? Fan Shengde asked. Su Ping gave it some thought. If you want it to be full, the 10 won't not even be enough for one meal. But, if you want to save, you can mix the scarlet stone fruit with other pet food. This way, those will be enough for 10 meals. Fan Shengde didn't find this food pricey to begin with, but he realized it was expensive after considering Su Ping's suggestions. He was not in want of money, but when he thought about 1,500 coins for one meal. Thank you, sir. Fan Shengde left the pet store after this gesture of appreciation. When he was about to step away, he turned around and took a look at the shop sign, Pixie Pet Store. Having sent away the customer, Su Ping checked his account immediately. There was an addition of 1,560 coins. If converted, it would be 15.6 energy points. For him to collect the pet breeding mission, it would only cost him 10 energy points and he could breed a pet. That was to say, he could already finish his mission. Lucky for me, the cultivation plane I chose was not desolate. It would have been a bad start if I had chosen a barren world. Su Ping felt fortunate. Azure Bay Garden. This was a neighborhood that seemed quite ordinary. The buildings were shabby and aged. Fan Shengde walked with his hands clasped behind his back. He was in a superb mood. He walked the vermilion bird back to the neighborhood, leisurely and carefree. Along the way, he met some old friends, some with their pets, or with their better halves. They were also strolling in the neighborhood park. Old De, you're walking that silly bird again. You're walking your better half as well. PFF, you're walking your better half. Old De is old but still licentious. Let's go. An old couple hurried away. Fan Shengde laughed once their bickering was done. He took the vermilion bird back to his building, then he took out his keys and opened the door. He stepped into the elevator and rode to the 6th floor. He lived in room 601. As soon as he opened the door, Fan Shengde could tell that someone else had arrived. The most obvious mark was that the several pairs of dirty socks he threw by his door were gone. Was it a burglary? Fan Shengde did not panic, rather, he was quite calm. He changed his shoes at the foyer and headed to the living room. He saw 2 people sitting there and smelled some delicious dishes coming from the kitchen. Grandpa, you're back. The 2 young people sitting on the couch stood up at once. From their reactions, the girl was livelier. Her eyes glowed as she saw Fan Shengde. She ran over cheerfully and said, Grandpa, we've been waiting for you for a long time. Fan Shengde smiled and patted the girl's head. How come you have time to visit me today? I missed you, Grandpa, the girl said with honeyed words. Well, aren't you sweet? Fan Shengde pinched her nose. The other young man that was standing by the couch smiled fatuously. Grandpa, didn't you say that your vermilion bird had no appetite and would not eat? I asked someone in my team to get something birds of the fire family love. I'm here to deliver them to you today. Chapter 17, Shady Shop. Thank you for your trouble. Fan Shengda nodded. You're welcome. This is what I should do. The young man scratched his head, smiling quietly. The girl ran to the side of the living room and took out a metal case. She waved at the vermilion bird. Xiao Hua, come here. These are all for you. She opened the case and over a dozen varieties of pet food were revealed, including flowers, fruits, grasses, and even sealed cans with worms in them. All of it was food favored by birds. Fan Shengda threw a look and said to the vermilion bird behind him. Come on and take a look. Someone brought you some nice food. Being an intermediate rank pet, the vermilion bird was quite intelligent. It had been showing a lack of interest and only stepped over reluctantly after Fan Shengda had said so. The vermilion bird stuck out its head and took a look at the goods, then it turned around right away. Its eyes were filled with laziness. The bird nestled on the ground, not intrigued at all. Well? The girl was surprised. She didn't foresee that the vermilion bird would ignore her like this. How come it wasn't interested when there were so many delicacies? The young man standing next to her was stunned as well. He felt the situation was awkward. Fan Shengda, on the other hand, was not taken aback. He tried coaxing the vermilion bird into eating several of the treats the young man had brought, but none of them worked. Grandpa, your bird is not coming down with something strange, is it? The girl couldn't help but consider the possibility as she saw the vermilion bird lying on the ground, low-spirited. Fan Shengda raised his eyebrows. He would have had the same idea on any other day. However, he was convinced that it was because of the food, after he witnessed with his own eyes how happy the vermilion bird was when it enjoyed the food in the pet store. It has been losing appetite recently and will not eat any of the usual food. I suppose it will be better after some time. Fan Shengda answered calmly and sat down on the side to rest. The young man's eyes flickered. Building on what Fan Shengda said, the young man proposed, if so, Grandpa, why don't you bring it uptown with us? We have the best hospitals for astral pets there and it can be cured. Problems should be solved timely to avoid things to go wrong in the future. It will be quite convenient. Fan Shengda snorted. I already said my piece, I'm not going anywhere. The young man's expressions changed. He said nothing else. Grandpa, you don't want to go, but you have to consider it for Xiao Hua's sake. It won't last long if it continues to go on a hunger strike like this. You cannot simply wait for it to starve to death and do nothing about it. The girl tried to persuade him from another perspective, using a different way to solve the problem. Hearing this, Fan Shengda raised his eyebrows. Somehow, he felt smug. It won't starve. I already took it to get quality food today. It's just unwilling to eat this average pet food you brought here. That doesn't mean that it won't eat anything else, said Fan Shengda. The young man was speechless. The food he brought was considered average? Every item was considered precious pet food. You bought food for it? The girl sounded surprised. Will it eat other pet food? There was an odd look on her face. Of course. Fan Shengda laughed. I'm not convinced. Fan Xiaoyu was still in disbelief. She believed that her grandpa was just making up excuses. After all, in all those years, her grandpa had come up with many strange excuses just to avoid living with them in the uptown area. Fan Yujing, the young man, was just as baffled after that exchange. Fan Shengda puckered his eyebrows. He reached into his pocket and grabbed the little bottle. He pulled out the cap and poured out one fruit. Come here, Fan Shengda called the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird had turned over the moment Fan Shengda opened the bottle. The fruit was thrown to the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird caught it with its mouth and swallowed it at once. This scene shocked the siblings. Soon, Fan Xiaoyu came back to her senses. She would not believe what had happened. It must be because the food we brought was placed on the ground and Xiao Ho doesn't find any of it interesting. I've used the wrong way to feed it. With that said, she took out some fruits from the case and said, Xiao Hua, here. The vermilion bird turned over. A big pile of fruit was forced onto its beak. Fan Xiaoyu. Fan Xiaoyu was in a cold sweat as she saw the vermilion bird about to fly into a fit of rage. Her hair was standing on end, she didn't dare to try again. Now you believe me, Fan Shengda said, laughing with satisfaction. Fan Xiaoyu looked at him speechlessly. She knew that her plan of using Xiao Hua as a leverage to persuade him had fallen through. Grandpa, what kind of food is this? I've never seen it before. Where did you get it? Fan Yujing checked the fruit carefully. He was confused. He had the confidence to say that he had been out for many battles, so he was well informed. Yet, he had never seen this bird food before. Fan Shengda answered casually, I bought it in a pet store nearby. It's called something like scarlet stone fruit. Scarlet stone fruit? Fan Xiaoyu pondered about the name. The name didn't ring any bells, even though she was a well-versed straight-A student. I have never heard about this fruit before. Is it real food? I'm afraid that it may produce side effects, she said, wondering. Fan Yujing nodded. She's right. Some unethical pet stores will pass some weed off as pet food. There are strict regulations in the uptown area regarding this, unlike here. Grandpa, don't put Xiao Hua in harm's way just because you bought something unknown. What? Fan Shengda felt nervous once they put it this way. The vermilion bird was his baby, it was of great significance to him. He could not imagine what would happen if something were to happen to it. I don't think that is the case. I bought it in a formal store. They have a business license. Fan Shengda tried to keep a calm appearance while inside he was fearful and trembling. Fan Xiaoyu thought about it. I heard that some gangster shops will mix some special chemicals in the pet food so that the food they sell tastes better, and the pet would crave for more. Pets would lose their minds once they can't get such food, but they may suddenly die if they eat such food for a long time, or suffer from other ailments. Fan Shengda was dumbstruck. He had seen such reports on the news. He became anxious. Right. The pet food I brought is the favorite for birds of the fire family, but Xiao Hua won't even look at it. It's only interested in the fruit you have, Grandpa. This is too strange. That simple smile vanished from Fan Yujing's face as his sister explained. Taking that simplicity's place was something malicious and severe. Well, Grandpa, how much did it cost you? Fan Xiaoyu asked all of a sudden. Fan Shengda was surprised by this question. Out of instinct, he answered, 1,500 coins. One bottle costs 1,500 coins? Fan Xiaoyu was shocked. A layer of ice came onto her pretty face. This is not uptown. There cannot be pet food this expensive. That has to be a gangster shop. Grandpa, where is the store, and what is its name? Fan Yujing asked directly. The Pixie Pet Store. Chapter 18, Breeding Beast Kings. Inside the Pixie Pet Store. After the old man left, Su Ping could not wait to head to the Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation behind the pet store, since he had just made some energy points. I wonder what kind of astral pet can be bred. Su Ping was filled with anticipation and nervousness. The rarer the astral pet coming into being was, the higher the rent would be when he leased it. This could be a source of substantial income. The system reminded him, Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation is currently at the first level. During every breeding process, 1 part per 100 million of a Chaos Aura can be imported. Activate? Chaos Aura. What is that? Su Ping found it unfamiliar. Chaos Aura is the most fundamental energy in the universe, the origin of everything. The system's explanation sounded a bit fantasy-like. Su Ping didn't understand it fully. He frowned. But, isn't it too stingy to import only 1 part per 100 million of this source energy? The host can upgrade the spirit pool, the system suggested calmly. The requirement for upgrading the spirit pool sprang to Su Ping's mind at once, along with the effects of spirit pools at different levels. Currently, the Chaos Spirit Pool was at the first level. 100 energy points would be needed to upgrade it to the second level, and the Chaos Aura that could be imported would be increased to 1 part per 10 million. In the best of chances, the pool would give birth to astral pets with higher rank bloodlines. To upgrade the Chaos Spirit Pool to the third level would demand 10,000 energy points, which would increase the percentage of Chaos Aura imported to 1 part per million. There would be a small chance that an astral pet with a Beast King's bloodline could be bred. 100 million energy points would be needed to upgrade to the fourth level, and the imported Chaos Aura would reach 1 part per 100,000. There would be a bigger chance of breeding an astral pet with a Beast King's bloodline and a very low possibility that the astral pet could be even more powerful. Following the fourth level, there was the fifth, sixth, etc., and the highest was the ninth level. In a ninth level Chaos Spirit Pool, a large amount of Chaos Aura could be imported. The ancestors of the mythical beasts, the Archean deities, could come into being. Su Ping was completely astonished once he reached the latter part of the introduction. Beast ancestors? Archean deities? Judging by the names alone, Su Ping could tell that such beings were horrifying. Those creatures had to be more terrifying than those legendary astral pets in the illustrated book of feral astral pets. Any one of such beings could endanger the whole world. Could such beings also be regarded as astral pets? Su Ping felt lightheaded the moment he saw the energy points required for an upgrade to the ninth level. He knew that this was way out of his league at the moment. To upgrade to the third level was already in the distant future. Besides, the effects of a third-level Chaos Spirit Pool were already shocking. With merely 1 part per million of Chaos Aura, there was a chance of breeding an astral pet with a Beast King bloodline. What was a Beast King bloodline? That was to say that such an astral pet would already have the strength of a Beast King. No matter how poor the astral pet's aptitude was, or how poor its level of understanding was, as soon as the astral pet reached adulthood, it would have the strength equivalent to a Beast King. The only difference was the ranking among Beast Kings. This did not refer to the astral pets that had a percentage of Beast King bloodline fused in them. Such astral pets were, for the most part, of mixed blood, and the Beast King's bloodline would only account for a small ratio. It was almost impossible for such astral pets to evolve into Beast Kings. Breeding Beast Kings. While he stared at this chaotic spirit pool that looked like a dried-up well, his mouth felt parched and his tongue scorched. Beast Kings were creatures that could run wild across the entire land, and they were extremely hard to tame. All Beast Kings were violent and cruel. If he could breed one, then he could have a skyrocketing rise. Su Ping had finally calmed himself after a long time of excitement. At the moment, he could only use the first level of the Chaos Spirit Pool. Lucky for him, even at the first level, the Chaos Spirit Pool would have a tremendous effect. There was a small chance that an astral pet of the intermediate level could be brought to life. One astral pet of the intermediate level would be sold at 100,000 coins or more at the federal establishments. Activate the Spirit Pool. Su Ping looked at his 15.6 energy points. He made up his mind and invested the points. -10 energy points. The dry Chaos Spirit Pool began to absorb the energy. As such, a glow suddenly broke out. There was a trace of dark light that glimmered for an instant but then disappeared without a trace. Everything quieted down again. Crack. Something seemed to have fallen apart. Su Ping looked over in surprise. From the edge of the Chaos Spirit Pool crawled out a little skeleton that was off-white in color and about 20 centimeters in height. It was lower than a human's knee. The skeleton used great efforts to crawl out from the spirit pool. Then, it fell on the ground and shattered into pieces. A skeleton of the demon family? Su Ping was stunned speechless. Pets of the demon family were highly popular for battle pets. They were loved by battle pet warriors because of their fierce abilities. But this little skeleton was a pet of the lowest level in the demon family. Su Ping was wishing that he could hit the jackpot and get a pet of the intermediate level on his first try. As it turned out, instead of the intermediate level, this skeleton was the lowest of the lowest level. While he felt like weeping but had no tears, Su Ping wanted to take the chance. He cast an identification spell on the skeleton. Little skeleton. Property, pet of the demon family. Rank, the lower position of the first rank. Combat strength, 1.1. Aptitude, poor. Abilities mastered, severed limb reassembly. This panel revealed information that couldn't be more average. Su Ping felt an urge to cry. Ding. The host has finished the breeding quest. The host will receive a random book about battle pet warrior skills, the system reminded him. Su Ping came back to his senses. That was when he remembered the reward of the quest. His depressed mood turned for the better. At the very least, he could just think of the little skeleton as a tool for accomplishing quests. Where is the skill book? In the host's storage space. Su Ping entered his storage space to check it once. Not surprisingly, he found a skill book with a light blue color. Killing Intent, skill for elementary battled pet warriors. Su Ping found this surprising. It was Killing Intent. As he recalled, this seemed to be a rare battled pet warrior skill. Generally speaking, among the skills that a battle pet warrior could master, first and foremost, there were 4 skills of augmentation effects: strength augmentation, blast augmentation, firmness augmentation, and perception augmentation. The 4 skills of augmentation effects were essentials for all battle pet warriors. To learn the 4 skills alone would take a long time. Apart from the 4, the other battle pet warrior skills could have other special effects. Take the skill book of this, Killing Intent, for example. This skill meant that through the power of the contract, the pet's desire for homicide would be externalized. The pet would sink into a crazed state and become fearless. The pet would attack violently, without any fear, even when the pet had suffered serious injuries. It could be said that this was quite an aggressive battle pet warrior skill. When dealing with some threatening pets, this skill could produce miracles. This appears to be a quite difficult battle pet warrior skill. Battle pet warriors below the 4th rank may not be able to learn it. Su Ping found this surprisingly pleasant. While the breeding failed to some extent, the reward he drew was good. But he wasn't a battle pet warrior at the moment, so he couldn't use it yet. Crack, crack. At the moment, the little skeleton that fell by the chaotic spirit pool crawled up again and was stumbling its way to Su Ping. It looked at Su Ping with its empty, dull eyes. Su Ping forced a smile and picked up the little skeleton. He went to the counter and asked the system, "What is the lending rate for this little skeleton?" Pet, little skeleton, rent, 1 coin per hour. 1 coin. Su Ping's mouth twitched. This was the rental price. But if anyone would be willing to rent the little skeleton was yet to be seen. After all, who would rent a little skeleton at the lower position of the 1st rank to go into battle? Su Ping's forced smile had yet to fade away when he heard some footsteps. In the next second, the door was smashed open by 2 people who dashed in. Su Ping was stunned. He placed the little skeleton on the chair by the side and asked the male and female that had come in with overweening arrogance. "And you are? You unscrupulous merchant, come clean and tell us, what did you add in the pet food you sold?" the young man said, glaring at Su Ping coldly. The ones that came were none other than Fan Yujing and his younger sister Fan Xiaoyu. They hurried over right after they got the address from their grandfather. Su Ping frowned after a moment of astonishment. "I don't understand what you're saying. Besides, are you my customers? Do I even know you?" He went through the memories of the previous owner of the body but failed to recognize the two. I am saying this for your good. Don't be stubborn and reluctant to admit mistakes or defeats. Or else, you will land yourself in serious trouble. Fan Yujing looked askance at Su Ping, continuing in a cold voice, the food you just sold to an old man, some scarlet stone fruit. What did you mix in them with? Right, Fan Xiaoyu rested her hands on her hips and chimed in arrogantly. At the mention of the scarlet stone fruit, Su Ping remembered which customer it was. He understood what was going on at once, judging by the manners of those two. Are you suspecting that I tampered with the pet food? Su Ping pulled a long face. He harvested that food at the risk of his life. How could anyone question him? All of a sudden, the system sound alert sprang in his mind. The system that could always remain composed sounded quite cold, and even furious at the moment. Ad hoc quest, the store is being slandered for no reason. The host must prove innocence personally and demonstrate that there is nothing wrong with the pet food. The host must protect the reputation of the store against any defaming. Reward if the quest is accomplished, a chance to enter any cultivation plane with an unlimited number of deaths for 5 days. Punishment for quest failure, a 10 points deduction from the host's grade. Su Ping stood in amazement. There were ad hoc quests. Besides, for this quest, the reward was a one-time access to any cultivation plane for 5 days with unlimited number of deaths. Previously, Su Ping did not cherish that opportunity presented to him and regretted it later. Surprisingly, there was another chance given to him again. This was a chance to train a low-rank pet to a pet of the highest grade easily.